company, we were changing things nonstop. And we ended up kind of settling on two products. One was the original version of our Ultra, and the other one is a discontinued product called the Matterhorn. So they were both a parallel wall, and they were both the same exact stabilizer, but one was at a half-inch diameter, one was at a .625, so a little larger, and they both had really awesome performance characteristics, but they both had some weaknesses. The Ultra didn't have the stiffness to really hold up to compound use, and although the Matterhorn was really stiff and felt good, it was a little bit less wind efficient, and so a lot of the recurve shooters kind of shied away from it. And what we challenged ourselves was, can we make something that basically gives you the best of both worlds without sacrificing any of the pros that they have? So in looking at kind of where the material is offering you the most value or where material is actually hurting you, we kind of noticed that, well, at the proximal end where the rod is attaching to the bow, that's where you have the most mechanical stress. So that's where it needs the reinforcement to feel rigid. But at the distal end where your weight stack is, all the way out there on the end in the wind, you don't need it to be that stiff because it has less stress, and you also don't want too much material there because the wind has more leverage to push the further you go away from the pivot point. So putting those two ideas together, we said, well, let's make it thin where it should be thin, and let's make it thick where it should be thick, and see what happens. And it took quite a bit of trial and error, and we had to find a better carbon manufacturer that could make completely custom tubes to our specifications and would work with us on doing quite a few prototypes to get it right. Because there was a big risk that we were concerned if you didn't get the taper ratio right, it could end up feeling worse, or it might feel a little disconcerting compared to what people are used to out of a parallel wall stabilizer. We eventually settled on the design that we're selling today in the factory, which did give athletes the best of both. They could have the wind efficiency and they could have the stiffness. The thing that we didn't predict that actually ended up being a really nice side effect was, because your base is stiffer and your tip is weaker, the geometry that we're laying up that carbon in the first place is naturally moving vibration forward away from the archer and letting very little of that resonancy come back to you. And then on top of that, when you put that tungsten chamber at the very distal end where it has the most room to move, you're getting more activation of those little tungsten particles, getting them to move around, and it's even enhancing that vibration damping further than it would if you put it in a parallel tube. So all around, it was a big win for us and kind of worked out. We were a little lucky and we had a little bit of a good idea, I guess.